The Benefits of Video Games by Kelsey Rogers. It is a common misconception that video games have no benefits and are only used for pleasure. Today, I am going to talk about all the factors that go into how beneficial video games actually are. Although there are many benefits of video game playing, there are also downfalls, many of which are controversial. To start off, I am going to talk about the dark side and negative factors of video games. These negative factors include violence, antisocial behavior, sex and drug use, addiction, mental health, and cyberbullying. One of the biggest topics of debate is whether or not video games cause violence in its players. Some researchers suggest that video games cause violent and antisocial behavior. There is a substantial amount of research debating that video games cause violence, but there is also extensive research on the other side of it. This debate goes as far as to suggest that the reason behind the Columbine High School massacre and the Sandy Hook massacre was because the attackers for both were avid video game players. It is also believed that increased amounts of television watching, screen time, and video games are associated with mental health problems and laziness. The Australian government recommends no more than 2 hours a day of watching TV, playing video games, and using a computer for reasons that do not fulfill an educational purpose. Many people automatically associate video games with negative variables, but fail to look at the benefits behind them. A couple of the benefits include cooperative social play, which allow players to work together in order to accomplish a common goal, friendships, and family social interactions. Video games such as World of Warcraft promote and offer numerous opportunities for cooperative social play or playing nice together. From experience, I know that World of Warcraft definitely promotes social interactions amongst its avatars. It includes a chat box that allows you to communicate with other players, and there are many opportunities to team up and/or become allies with other gamers within the World of Warcraft realms. World of Warcraft and games like it also promote friendships and online relationships. As I've already stated, having a way of communication in games such as chat boxes, a headset to talk into, and other forms of communication all promote a relationship between players. Becoming allies or part of a team within video games requires communication and cooperation in order to reach a common goal. Friendships in the gaming environment are inevitable. Friendships in the gaming world are seen more as flexible, although traditional friendships are seen as fragile if it is not a face-to-face experience. As stated in Working with Video Gamers and Games and Therapy by Anthony Bean, people tend to not value video game friendships as real concrete friendships because of the no face-to-face interactions. What these people fail to understand is that we as a society have multiple means of communication through social media. Within the social media world, we follow or are friends with many people who we do not talk to every day, let alone talk to them face to face. Personally, I follow and/or are friends with people through my social media accounts that I barely know. For some reason, gamer friendships are not taken seriously when realistically, they probably keep up with their online friendships much more frequently than a social media user does with the people on their friends lists. Another point that Bean states is how approaching others within the gaming world is much more doable for some people. Many people have trouble making friends in person for a wide variety of reasons. It is a lot harder to do many things in person, especially making friends because of the fear of being denied. In an online world, this becomes much more easier because there is a screen between you and the other player. This ultimately decreases anxiety in people. Video games also increase social interactions amongst family members. In a study about active video games, both parents and children report that playing video games together promote family social relationships, facilitate shared conversation, and activities, and teach social skills such as collaboration and turn taking. Games such as World of Warcraft allow friends and family members all to meet up in a specific realm and play together, even if they are not actually physically together. Being able to use video games to bring your family closer is not only a fun bonding experience, but it is also a learning experience. The next benefit I will be talking about is the use of active video games. Circling back to the negative stigmas of video games, it is recognized that video game playing is associated with obesity in children and/or adults. This is because when playing a standard video game, you normally are just sitting down the whole time and not getting in any physical activity. This is where active video games come in. In hopes to end this association, physical activity has been incorporated into video games. Laboratory studies show that the use of active video games can increase energy expenditure as well as improve vascular function. Active video games also increase physical health and decrease obesity. This video game type is designed for collaboration and teamwork. This is why they are very popular amongst families. An active video game console that was very popular when I was younger is the Wii. This game console has many interactive games for it. Although the Wii does not include this, a Wii Fit can be connected to the Wii for even more of a physical experience. The Wii includes the game Wii Sports upon purchase, which really sets the bar so that you are interactive while playing. Some other examples of active video games are right in the palm of our hands. We can get an app on just about anything. There are running apps that track your pace, your heartbeat, how many miles you have ran or walked, your speed, etc. There are also apps on our phones that track our steps daily. In these apps, you can challenge your friends who also have the app to see who took the most steps or ran more miles. This definitely encourages people to be more active, especially when being challenged by a peer. One more app that promotes being active is Pokemon Go. This app encourages its users to get up and walk around in order to level up. In order to level up, you need to find Pokemon, which can be anywhere throughout your surroundings. For a while, people would walk around town looking for all types of Pokemon, although it is less popular now. Not only do these apps allow physical movement, but they also promote competitive and collaborative play. Since video games are becoming more and more popular, they are being used in multiple settings, one of which is in the educational setting. Games have always had some sort of educational purpose to them, whether that be learning letters and how to spell while playing Scrabble, learning numbers and value while using dice, using your imagination while playing charades, or even learning when it is your turn to go in a game. Play and games are ancient elements of human learning. Video games serve the same purpose. Most video games have some aspect of learning in them, such as collaboration, teamwork, and even concentration. Technology use in young children is a valuable role in ensuring that all children who are entering kindergarten have early digital literacy skills. These skills also help in other areas such as literacy, math, and both fine and gross motor development. This is because it provides children with additional opportunities for exploration, interaction, communication, and creativity. Recent studies in psychology suggest that extended periods of gaming can actually help shape the concentration and attention processes and can help develop certain skills. Being able to directly focus your attention on something for a long period of time can be hard for some people, but video games allow them to learn that skills because being able to focus on something for a long period of time and rapidly switch your focus to a different skill is something that video games require. Being imaginative is a huge skill that children learn at an early age. They can learn this through dramatic play, role playing, playing with peers, as well as in video games. Video games can be based on just about anything. They are the epitome of imagination play. Take World of Warcraft for example. World of Warcraft is set in many fantasy realms in which you get to make your own avatar, and it doesn't even have to be a human. You then are able to go on a bunch of different quests fighting animals and ogres to protect your community. This is a perfect example of using your imagination. This type of fantasy world and all the fantasy creatures who live there are obviously not real, but this game allows its users to expand their imagination and take part of their imaginary world. As stated in Working with Video Gamers and Games and Therapy by Anthony Bean, imaginative play is not just for fun, but is an important factor in a child's ability to show better cognitive abilities, social competence, empathetic attunement to others. Having a strong fantasy ability in your youth is an important asset for future psychological development and living capabilities. Another way of learning through video games is learning through simulations. Simulations are becoming more and more popular. They provide educators with powerful tools that can offer particular strengths for teaching authentic skills. In an article titled Simulation Games and the Study of the Past by Jeremiah McCall, it talks about how using simulations allows students to actually feel as if they were part of the topic they are learning about. For example, and I quote, "When playing a simulation, as opposed to using other forms of instruction, a learner can become immersed in a virtual representation of the past and, in doing so, be provoked to consider how and why humans lived, made choices, and acted the way they did in the past." I think that this quote is very important when considering other ways of teaching. Especially in history, simulations can be very useful in trying to get a point across. Simulations can also be very beneficial for English language learners, special needs children, and students who need more of a visual representation of the overall concept of something. I posted a link to a TED Talk in which it talks about how simulations can be used in a learning environment. In this video, the simulations act as a practice world for pharmaceutical students. When talking about directly using video games as a way of teaching, there are many online games, apps, and interactive videos for this purpose. Being in the education field and being in a classroom every week, I see many examples of educational video games taking place. Most of the time, they are used for students who are not quite understanding a certain math topic and need a little more help achieving that goal and catching up to their peers. There are online educational games that can be used anywhere, not just in the classroom. One example of this is ABC Mouse, which is a website that includes games on all different subjects sorted into each grade level. Video game playing does not just help younger children learn, but they also prepare adults for the real world. Video game requires players to construct hypotheses, help with problem-solving skills, help with the development of strategies, and trial and error. Playing video games can be an ideal form of preparation for the workplace, especially in today's society. Games like this encourage students as well as adults to want to learn. They ultimately make learning more of a fun process instead of being boring. These games make it so a child wants to come back to it and keep practicing until they understand the overall concept. In conclusion, although there are some negative factors that are correlated with video games, there are also many benefits of playing video games. Personally, I have never been very into video game playing and always associated video games with negative stigmas. After extensive research and taking this class, I can now confidently say that I do not believe that video games are negative, and I will no longer associate them with negative stigmas.